We are back here with a very intrepid guest in studio because he is that hardcore. He is Jim Carafano, Vice President of all things national security and foreign policy at the Heritage Foundation. And Jay Carafano, as he goes on Twitter, has some big news. You picked something up.
Oh, yeah.
What did you pick up today?
First of all, I want to say, just to show that I've done responsible social distancing, getting here, doing here. There's actually a steel wall between me
in the green
Gorka.
room, we kept 10 feet apart in the green room. We were being responsible.
So this is stupid. But
give us an update from the streets. The streets.
This is stupid. But today I walked into a CVS. I bought a roll of toilet paper.
And he's disclosed to me the address.
And I walked out. And, just that little bit of normalcy, I just found incredibly reassuring. I think we have a great country. People forget, we are the strongest country in the world to deal with this. There's a great research piece that we just put out. It's on the Daily Signal. It talks about America's capacity to provide resources, and the healthcare issue is probably the highest in the world. Here's what we've discovered. Socialized medicine is awesome as long as you never have to use it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The socialized medicine, including places like China, they can't create new capacity. They can move stuff around. And that's what the Chinese did. They depleted the entire resources of the country and moved it down to deal with that. They can do that.
Because it's not a free market. They can't create capacity.
But what we can do, and we're already seeing this, is we can create new capacity and capabilities, find new ways to do business. So I'm in the optimist camp.
Good. Well, let's talk about China for a moment. I got the longest email I've ever received from the State Department, and I don't mean attachments. The text of the email was 12 pages, and it is about the disinformation that's coming out of China. What is it that the average non-foreign policy expert out there needs to know about information coming out of China and their attitude to reporting facts? Jim.
So this is really fascinating.
Because you've just written about this, right?
This is real. I just wrote a piece on this on Fox News. Actually, I think it was kind of 3 days ahead of the curve on this. But, the Chinese have been trying to pull the rug out from under us forever, right? They're like the snotty kid that's talking behind your back. They build up Confucius Institutes. They get seats on boards. They buy people off.
Big advertising in American papers.
Right. It's all very subtle, right? Yeah. And very stealthy. That has changed. The Chinese are now actually very public and in the most incredibly egregious way with unbelievable, which Chinese Communist Party officials, government officials, and official Chinese media are peddling stories like the United States is responsible for this virus. China has led the global response. What a joke. China has saved the world. China is helping everybody else out. These are all lies. Complete lies.
And these are coming from ambassadors. These are coming from government officials.
So the ambassador
to South Africa
is unbelievable. And part of this is, I think, we just haven't been noticing.
Yeah.
So, for example, this guy in South Africa, he's all over the place. He's doing interviews and media and everything else. And he's been trash talking us forever. I think part of it's us just waking up to how really egregious they are. So here's the really interesting thing, which I got from a source in a.
He almost. We'll talk about it later.
The Russians have been taking the Chinese messaging,
the propaganda,
and recycling it and expanding it, and flooding Europe and the West with disinformation. Incredibly. I don't know if it's consciously coordinating or just opportunistic, but some of the Russian stuff is unbelievably egregious. And here's the thing. Oh, look, I'm all for free press. You are. You're part of the free press. There's a lot of people who
just don't call me a journalist. But wish I wasn't.
That you
like
weren't.
a billion Jimmy
I get all
Costa.
that. But to see, essentially the anti-Trump and the critics essentially taking the propaganda of China and repurposing it as criticisms of the administration is very sad.
There was an extensive commentary by somebody who is, quote-unquote, a mainstream journalist today. not a contributor, a journalist,
National journals,
who was touting for a lengthy clip that China is saving the West by their actions. That from the beginning they were the ones making a difference, Jim.
Yeah, it's absolute lies, and we know it's lies.
They destroyed evidence. They went to their gene labs and said, "Destroy the samples from Wuhan."
And
it's the Chinese government.
First of all, they didn't, and the most egregious thing they did is they let people leave.
Yes.
When they knew that in all likelihood they had this virus, and this virus was very contagious, and it was very infectious, and people could die from this. And people just left the door open. I mean, the most egregious examples are Italy and Iran. Yeah. They have suffered incredibly for this. And then the unbelievable mendacity of the Chinese to basically murder the Italian people and then turn around and send a plane load of masks and be prideful about it. Yeah. I just think that's despicable. And here's the other thing. Most of the Chinese aid isn't even getting out. It's stuck in China. And they don't even know that. And people don't even talk about it. We have done way more with USAID. We've done way more to help the world deal with this virus.
As usual. We're talking to James Carafano of the Heritage Foundation, Mr. National Security and Foreign Policy at the Conservative Mothership. Follow him right now at JJ Carafano, Preventing World War III, one tweet at a time. Back with Jim after these messages here on America First on the Salem Radio Network, live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. And don't forget, Instagram TV.